as the wild birds sing. You can hear hunger crying out, a sonic echo that leaves no room for doubt. All the shots bring it back to what it's not. Make a move, do we do? As the world cries tears in our hands, are we all part of a bigger plan? All the shots bring it back to what it's not. Deepest oceans become petri enough. Empty spaces turn to rust and dust. There's no wonder left for us to love. No warmth or shelter, just satellites above. All the shots bring it back to what it's not. Make a move, do we do? As the world cries tears in our hands, are we all part of a bigger plan? All the shots bring it back to what it's not.
must mean only one thing here on RaceSpotTV. It's time for the World GT Championship here. Well, for a fantastic round of sprint racing at Road America. Hello everybody, Paul Smith and Peter Mackay on the commentary here with Hugo Lewis behind the scenes on production. And Peter, round 3, first of our sprint rounds, that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
It always is. It's always excitement when we go for these 3 quick-fire 20-minute races here in the World GT Championship. And to end our stateside swing to open up the first quarter of the season, here at Road America, it is a perfect choice of track for this type of racing. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. We had 2 cracking races at VIR last time out, but this time, as we say, we get 3 20-minute races here at Road America. Next week, we have a week off before we then head on to a European jaunt. It's Silverstone for our next endurance race with Circuit de la Sarthe and Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, and then for the second half of the season, Daytona, Fuji and Red Bull Ring, before we finish off at Monza, Imola and Spa. And well, what a championship, what an opening to the championship we've seen so far. Just 5 points separate the 2 pro drivers at the top of the standings of James Bume for Altitude Esports and Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims Esports. Leif Sebastian, after his good showing last time out, is 3rd place for 3M UK, just 2 points clear of Ethan Critchley, with Jack Sedgwick, Mark Fletcher, Morgan Butler, Marcin Rebicek, Alexander Davidson, and of course Jesse Stevens to round out the top 10 of Pro. In Pro-Am, it is Dennis Grabowski who has got a 50-point lead over Adam Watson, the privateer over the Altitude Esports white driver. Full Tilt V Motorsports driver of Michael Gray is just 8 points back from Adam Watson and just 1 point clear of Daniel Sagely, with Andy Archer in 5th place. Phil Samways, Neil Bocage, Ben Gregory, Rafael Jajaj and Chris Gooch round at the top 10. In the AM standings, it is Sophia Ridpath who has taken an early hold on the championship lead. 75 points clear is the Olympus Esports Titan driver over Adam Hedgecock in his Altitude Esports blue car. William Guthrie for Full Tilt V Autosport is in 3rd place, just 7 points back from Adam, with Paddy Faulkner the next one down. Paul Joseph Clist with Josh Boot, Andy Jones, Nathan Healy, Lars Van Rijn and Chris Stevenson rounding out the top 10. The Pro Teams Championship, well, there's 5 teams in this one, and it is Altitude Esports who lead this one over 3M UK by 93 points. Pure Sims Esports, they're in 3rd place with 143 points behind the leaders right now. Apex One with Simutek and Full Tilt V Motorsports round at the top 5. In the AM Teams Championship, it is Olympus Esports Titan who have a 143 point lead over the Altitude Esports white team. Fat Atom Racing are in 3rd ahead of the Full Tilt V Autosport team. AI Race Summaries DCW Racing are in 5th ahead of Altitude Esports Blue. Olympus Esports Atlas and Full Tilt V Sim Sports round out the top 8. But Road America, Peter, for 3 20-minute sprint races, this is another different challenge to what we saw last time out at VIR.
It's hugely different. I mean, you've got quite a few more overtaking opportunities, I would say, here at Road America. You can set up a big draft maneuver coming out of the final corner, and then on the run down to turn 1, if you get a good enough run out that final corner, there is enough time on the straightaway to be able to set up a draft maneuver. The big opportunity, though, is down the hill into turn 5, a very kind of difficult downhill braking zone, very tight left-hander. It's always a popular space for overtaking opportunities. Canada corner as well, you can try and stuff it up the inside there as well. So in this type of sprint racing environment where you don't have the time to sit and chill out, this is a really good circuit for it. The organisers, again, have outdone themselves with their circuit selection.
They certainly have, and what a North American jaunt we have had here for the opening of this championship. The qualifying is just coming to an end. The last few drivers coming across the line, setting their last laps here in pro qualifying. James Bume and Matthias Luxak currently lead qualifying in their Porsche and BMW respectively. There's a good mix of cars in the top 10. Porsche, BMW, there's a swathe of BMWs in the top 5, Ferrari and McLaren as well. So there's a big selection of cars once again in that top group. So certainly some good change of good opportunities for cars around here.
Yeah, the BMWs, they've got a little bit more straight line performance, and this is a big power circuit here at Road America. So yeah, that's coming through in the times. But James Bume on pole position in that Porsche, just showing that he is really setting his stall out as an early championship favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. Our championship leader by 5 points, James Bume, putting the car to the top of the standings. We'll get you your qualifying results in just a few moments' time, but with qualifying over, we are going to get ourselves set for a full pace lap around here, so I get a nice long bit of time to go through your grid here today. Well, it is James Bume for Altitude Esports who's put it on pole position, but sharing that front row is Matthias Luxak with the Apex One with Simutech team, having a good qualifying this round. Ross McFarlane, your 4-time champion, is on row number 2, shared by Michael Rack. Again, another one of those Apex One with Simutech cars on the outside of row number 2. The third row, it is Alexander Davidson for Pure Sims Esports and Leif Sebastian for 3M UK. Jack Sedgwick then on row number 4 for Inex Racing, and he's shared by the privateer in the top Pro-Am in qualifying, Dennis Grabowski. Behind them on row number 5, Ethan Critchley in the Fatasm Esports McLaren, and Marcin Ravichek with Apex One with Simutech. So that team really doing a good job here in qualifying their 3 cars in the top 10. Matthew Victorino, who we've seen some tremendous pace out of for Impulse Racing, not getting the best qualifying for him. He's on row number 6, shared with Mark Fletcher from Altitude Esports. The next row of the grid, row 7 should I say, is Chris Gooch in that Mystic Turtles and Technology 1 car, and the Full Tilt V Sim Sports Mercedes of Phil Samways. Tim Perry in the Altitude Esports white car with Daniel Sedgley in the Olympus Esports car share that row. Then row number 9 is Morgan Butler for Pure Sims Esports, and Niels Bocage in that NJB Performance by Fokker Technologies. Then row number 10 is Michael Gray and Richard Simner. The first of our AM drivers, Carol I'm going to get this wrong, Pukalka, is there for that driver with William Guthrie in that Full Tilt V Autosport car alongside them. Row 12 is Jonathan Walker and Andy Archer sharing that row. 13th row of the grid, Adam Watson and Jesse Payne-Wilkins with Sophia Ridpath and Lewis Bibby sharing row number 14. The 15th row of the grid is Paul Webster, and Adam Hedgecock is joining him on that row. The 16th row of the grid, Andy Jones and Ben Gregory then are on that row with Patrick Faulkner and Chris Stevenson. Matt Sheriff, a newcomer to the championship, is alongside Nathan Healy. And the final few drivers on the grid, row number 19 is Jesse Stevens and Rafael Jajaj, and Paul Crawford and Paul Joseph Clist round out your 40-car grid. So there we go, Peter. Drivers are underway for their pace lap, and they do get a full pace lap around here. Conditions, they're not the hottest, but then again, we are in the morning. We're at 11 minutes past 10 in the morning. Track temperature is 32 degrees.
and that's just set to climb all day long. So the drivers will see a real change in how the circuit evolves over these next 3 races, which in sim time are set through the day. So yeah, that increasing track temperature is going to make a big difference. We do have 5-minute warm-up sessions before each race, and that's going to be critical track time to get a feel of what grip is there and indeed what is not. The grip is only going to get worse as that track temperature rises.
One thing of note is the Team Apex one with Simutech. What a round it's been for them in qualifying. You look at them, the 3 cars in the top 10. We've not seen that so far this season from that team. That's good to see that mix-up of teams coming into the top 10.
It's fantastic, and you know, Pure Sims, they're ever present, aren't they? The Ross McFarlane, Alex Davidson, they're always there. But this is now a new set of challengers who've come to take on one of the established teams of this championship, and it's brilliant to see new names up there challenging. Their drivers on the warm-up lap already, and they're just getting themselves into gear, into the zone, ready for this one.
Yeah, great to, as always, get to see what the drivers are up to. Adam Hedgecock, Ethan Critchley, as a couple of the drivers up there on screen. So we'll be checking in with them throughout the race, see how they get on. But this, for me, is one of the crucial corners through the kink. You've got to be flat through there, haven't you, Peter, to carry the speed to Canada corner?
Yeah, it's a very, very tricky corner, and Road America is all about the setup balance as well, where you want to have the car as trimmed out as possible, to have as low downforce as possible to get that speed on the straights. The trade-off is, though, that there is big, high downforce corners as well that you need. You know, for example, the carousel for the run towards the kink. And in the kink itself, you know, that you actually have to work really hard on the setup to get the exact right balance. You're not giving away lap time with having the wrong setup on.
So then the drivers are getting themselves set for this 14-turn, 4-mile course in Wisconsin, and tremendous to have you all along here watching this. The first of 3 races here tonight in the World GT Championship. 20 minutes of action is going to get way in just a few moments' time. The drivers come up over the crest of the hill, and Barney the flagman is going to give them the flag. The green flag is in the air, and we're underway for round number 4, the World GT Championship Season 14. Down towards turn number 1 they go. James Bume gets a great launch. Ross McFarlane looking to go down the inside in that Pure Sims Esports BMW. Oh, a little bit wide for one of those Apex 1 with Simutech cars. And down the go, that was Michael Rack, who's losing positions right now. But into turn number 3 the go. Everybody's keeping it nice and tidy so far, but this is where Peter pointed out, this is the first of those big opportunities for overtaking.
Matteo Victorino deep in the pack there in the Impulse racing car, trying to make moves forward, and there's got someone right behind him there trying to make a move also in one of the BMWs. That's Michael Rack, the recovering Michael Rack. Oh, 2 cars hard in the wall. Oh, stop, it's going to be bowling balls. It is bowling balls. Oh, I think that's Adam Hedgecock taking through there, several cars off. That's so... Oh, such a pity there. Such a shame. That's at turn 6. That's not turn 5.
No, that was turn 5, was that actually?
Was it?
Yeah.
There was a left-hander though. Yeah, there was 2 left-handers.
Ben Greco was involved, Andy Jones, you were right, Adam Hedgecock, Patrick Faulkner as well. So there was plenty involved in that one, but we do stay green flag racing here. And we're heading towards the kink for the first time, and already James Bume is trying to pull away at the front. Oh, they're running wide. There's a couple of cars run wide there. Let's hope that we don't end up with the big one. We get a car in the middle of the road. It's Victorino. Victorino's in the middle of the road. Oh, there's cars going absolutely everywhere here. This is absolute carnage.
Wonder if we're going to see the safety car come out here, because the road is just covered with cars everywhere. Victorino involved, and we do indeed have the pace car called. So several for all those drivers involved, they will have the opportunity to come in take their fast repair and instant repair and stay on the lead lap. That's really important for so many drivers involved there, Paul, who there was nowhere for them to go.
Well, there was that incident that we saw with Jesse Stevens involved in that one, but I think there was another separate incident that happened as well. So that was huge crash. And it's unfortunately one that you almost come to expect on lap one. Cars are not fully up to temperature and pressures with their tyres. You're going into the kink, which is, as I said on the warm-up lap, a flat-out right-hander. You go wide just that little bit, you're into the grass, and you're practically a passenger at that point.
I think the format's got a big thing to do with it there. We've seen the first two race meetings of the season. An endurance round at Sebring, the driving standards were absolutely excellent. We saw very few incidents. VIR a couple of more, but still not that at all. That was the feature race format. Now with this 20-minute sprint, I think it's purely the urgency of so many of the drivers to make moves forward and not wanting to give away positions that they don't have the time to recover. So I think that's got a big part to do with it.
Well, we'll have to see how they get on there. And the problem is, for those that are coming around that corner, you're really unsighted, aren't you, Peter, coming around that kink? Because the walls and the trees that are there, they all sort of funnel everyone, don't they? And it really does have an effect for those drivers to be able to see what's happening when you are going flat out.
It does, and that's where it's really tricky, because when you see the yellow flag, you start to slow down because there's been an incident ahead. The problem is that the drivers behind you is not looking at the yellow flag or not respecting it. They can plough into the back of you and it's just as bad. So it's a really difficult thing if you're in the epicenter of that storm, where you almost have to put brake pressure in, show your brake lights to the car behind and start to progressively slow down. But that's in an ideal world, and yeah, there's a couple of cars getting into really clumsy tangles there, and a couple of drivers, Adam Hedgecock for one, completely innocent in all of that. So what happened to Victorino? Victorino lost it going through the kink. Oh, so it's not easy flat, that's for sure.
It was Ethan Critchley that I saw, and then gets absolutely launched.
Well, isn't it? His dad's a former international rugby league player, isn't he? So it was almost like getting kicked off a tee there. Yes. Bang! There it goes.
Michael Gray getting the car just absolutely across the track, nowhere to go for you, and it was just carnage.
Carnage is definitely the word for this race so far. So it takes us to under 15 minutes to go. Lights are still on the pace car at this stage. So those who have had to come to pit lane and take a fast repair, they'll be hoping that the cars go round for one more lap to try and give them an opportunity to catch up to the back of the queue and kind of reset their race a little bit. So yeah, lights are still on the Porsche 911 pace car. So it looks like we're going to go right the way around. It's 4 miles around here at Road America, so it's a long pace lap.
Yeah, it'll be this next time by for drive. I don't know why this driver's trying to fake out going into the pits when there's no pit stops mandated in this round of the championship.
It's a bit of gamesmanship.
The list of drivers who have been on pit road, by the way, from that incident. Niels Bocage, Paul Webster, Richard Simner, Mick Victorino, Ethan Critchley, Andy Jones. There's 5 more coming onto pit road as well. Tim Perry, Matt Sheriff, you've got Chris Stevenson, Ben Gregory, Adam Hedgecock, and Michael Gray. I'm surprised that Michael Gray didn't come in on the first lap, but the pit lane would have been closed on the first lap of the caution. Pit lane's open now.
And it's being used by many.
There's been an incident on the start and finish straight for Niels Bocage, I can tell you. The number 31. This is under pace lap.
Oh dear.
I think Paul Webster's the other car that got caught up in that one. So I could see it on the track map, just suddenly 2 cars that were stood still on the track on the start and finish straight.
So that's car number 31, Niels Booker, getting in his Porsche, getting in an accident behind the pace car. That's Yeah, that's not great.
If there was a clerk of the course here, then
You could see the book getting thrown out of race control onto the racetrack.
Here we go.
Let's have a look at it then. I don't think I've ever seen a replay from behind the pace car before.
Oh, suddenly. Oh, so suddenly from behind Webster. Oh dear.
Oh dear, indeed.
Well, I could guess what the stewards will be looking at post-event, other than what happened on lap 1. Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that haunts your dreams. That's never what we want to see. I mean, is that worse than hitting the pace car? It might well be.
I will say that I was racing in a touring car series years ago that we used to broadcast on RaceSpotTV called Champions of the Future, and I know that Hugo Luis will now be shaking his head because we were racing at Interlagos, and because of a reverse grid, I had somehow ended up at the front of the field for the second race, and we did a rolling start for the second race. The first race was a standing start, second race was a rolling start, and I'm like, oh well, I'll back everyone up, and then at Junsao, just absolutely launch out of that corner, get the run up the hill, it'll be perfect. So I did all the backed right up, slowed up, the whole pack down, launched out the corner. I'm halfway up the hill, and I can see on my relative, oh, that pace car's getting rather close to me in front. Oh no, and hit the brakes. Nearly caused the biggest accident behind me. And then the green flag got waved.
So if even champion of the future Paul Smith can do it, anyone can do it, ladies and gentlemen. Lights out on the pace car, and no one's hit it yet, so...
They're doing better than me, that's for sure. But James Bume now, he'll be cursing that pace car because he did have nearly a 1 second lead over Ross McFarlane when the pace car come out. That's come down to absolutely nothing, so James has got that all to do again. And here's the thing, we've got half the race left, so there's less time now for these drivers to be able to compete for places here. But we're getting ready, out to turn 14. Pace car is going to drop off to drivers right, there it goes, and then we'll be back underway for James Bume. He's going to make sure he doesn't overtake the pace car. Green flag will be out once again, and we're underway for action here in the World GT Championship. Single file restart, and I think that's for the good here as we head towards turn number 1 again. And 12, they're going along in towards that turn 1 now. Still Bume ahead of Ross McFarlane. Alex Davidson in 3rd place, ahead of Matthias Luxak, who's lost a couple of places from the start of this race. Jack Sedgwick, Leif Sebastian round out the top 6. Your best pro-ams, Dennis Grabowski and Chris Gooch, 8th and 9th place for them, with Phil Samways in 11th. The best am is William Guthrie in 15th place, but they're heading down towards turn 5 once again.
Yeah, and single file is the way for the first 4 or 5 cars as they try to just build a little bit more tire temperature and pressure back into these machines and get that grip a little bit back again. A little bit more messy further down the field as they shuffle for position. Jonathan Walker right in there in the free M Porsche in the beautiful blue and yellow colour scheme. But a little bit more behaved there on that rolling start. I tell you what, the single file, it really does make a difference.
Yeah, made a big difference to that restart as we're going through into the long sweeping carousel here, which is actually classified as 2 corners, which I've never understood, but there you go. Corner numbering around this circuit there has never made sense to me. As they go through the kink in towards Canada Corner, this is the big braking zone. Turn right over the curb, use the curb on the left hand side, and then you come through 13 and 13A, which used to be the Bill Mitchell turn.
So then they come into the final corner, turn 14, very, very tricky through there, and try to carry as much speed as possible onto the front straight. Alex Davidson right in the slipstream here of his teammate Ross McFarlane, who is in turn right on the bumper of James Bume. And well, we've seen Pure Sims be so strong for so many seasons, but James Boumé definitely this is a breakthrough season for him here. We saw him have a great run at Sebring, but now it was certainly proved it was no fluke at all. This is a genuine championship charge for the pro class for James Boumé. It's an amazing progression.
It certainly is. We've seen that. I mean, it was his first season, wasn't it, last season in this championship, and we've just seen that progression come through, and it really sort of came to the fore in the Sebring round last season, when that round of the championship happened to be at the time of the Sebring 12 hours in iRacing. So they'd had plenty of practice, and James had put in hours upon hours of practice for the 12 hours. And of course, it came to fruition for him in this round, in that round of the championship, and just seems to have really progressed since then.
Yeah, he has. He's definitely kicked on from that result. Now, we're showing several drivers gone into the pits again. Marcin Rybachuk, Andy Jones, Ethan Critchley, Matteo Victorino, Chris Stevenson, Richard Simner. So are there several drivers who haven't gone back out again, Paul, or have we had even more carnage?
I think we've possibly had more carnage. Victorino has been on pit road for a minute. Andy Jones for just under a minute. Yeah, so they're all sort of around that minute mark, or 2 minute mark on pit road. So I think there's been issues on the restart. Speaking of issues, that's your Pro-Am Championship leader, Denis Grabowski, off into the kitty litter at the exit of Canada Corner. He drops down a couple of places. Chris Gooch then takes the Pro-Am lead in this race. I think it was just a bit of side-by-side going into the corner, and space wasn't given to each other.
Yeah, and that's a very popular, or certainly very populated gravel trap here at Road America. It's always a popular overtaking spot, but because of that reason, you can see cars getting together and ending up in the gravel quite a lot. But certainly the best overtaking manoeuvre I think I've ever seen was here in the wet at Road America, Michelin Pilot Challenge race, where Robin Liddell stuck it around the outside in a Chevy Camaro and won the race on the last lap. Definitely certainly one of the very best overtaking manoeuvres I've ever seen.
Here's Chris Stevenson. This is on the restart, by the way. Oh! And there was a car just absolutely sideways at the top of the hill. Don't know how on earth they'd got to that position, but Chris Stevenson, the innocent party, although saying that, other cars did actually back off. Chris kept it absolutely pinned, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not entirely innocent.
Yeah, but I don't really know where there really was much of a pathway through there. You do have to ask, why are cars crashing on the straight, on the restart in single file? That, to me, that doesn't make sense. Let's try and get a look at it.
Oh
dear.
Well, that's what happened.
Oh dear. If you try and put, 2 wheels up.
And that's where Victorino got caught.
Yeah. Who was that?
Well, it was Tim Perry, was one of them. I didn't catch the other car, but we're still green flag racing. There's only 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this race. So it just goes to show how a safety car around here can really cut the opportunities for people to move through the field. Let's just keep you up to date with everything. James Boumé has a 3/4 of a second lead over Ross McFarlane at the front of the field, with Alex Davidson in 3rd place. That's the top 3 in the race. Your top Pro-Am is Chris Gooch, who is in 8th place overall. He's a couple of places ahead of Denis Grabowski, who we saw having that trip through the kitty litter into 11th place, just ahead of Phil Samways in his Mercedes. The top AM driver is William Guthrie in 15th place overall, ahead of Sophia Ridpath, who is 17th. And then it will be Carol Pukalka, get there eventually, in 20th place, 3rd place in AM.
Got there in the end.
I've got to put the teeth back in, haven't I? That's what it is.
Move here for for fourth position now. Oh, but Maciej Luchak is going to try and cut back in the BMW, the number 73 car, going up towards turn 6 underneath the Corvette bridge. And Jack Sedgwick thought he had the move done there at turn 5, but is he going to nip back again at turn 7? No, not quite. Into the hurry downs they go. So Luchak survives for now, but Sedgwick laying on the pressure in that Ferrari.
And it was good to see good respect between the two given there through the exit of 6. It's so easy for the car on the inside to just squeeze out of the car off onto the grass on the curbing of the exit of 6. So good respect shown by both, even if Matthias did actually just chop the nose off of Jack Sedgwick a little bit through the kink at turn 7. But all's fair in love and racing. And well, these two, I think they're going to carry on this duel right through to the end of the race. And the thing is, there's not that much long left in the race. Looking at the timing, we should be just getting our last lap starting.
Yeah, not long now. And ooh, yeah, just going on to the final lap just. So the amount of actual green flag running time is going to be quite limited here in this opening race of the day here at Road America. But 2 more to go with partly reverse grids in each, which is set by a random draw. So a lot of the drivers further up the field will be hoping that it's a small number draw, and those further back will be hoping it's a big number.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those involved in incidents, don't forget, that are nearer to the rear, they'll want a big one. Oh, Sophia! Yeah, I'm championship leader. Turned there at Bill Mitchell Bend. 13A. Gets back onto the track. Nice, safe rejoin. It's not an easy place to rejoin, is that? Because that is a fast left-hander up over a crest.
Yeah, it's blind entry to that corner. Not so great if you're coming through and someone is rejoining onto the circuit either. But I really hope, Paul, that's not the return of Sophia's luck from last season, because that looked like she looked like she just got turfed off the road there.
Well, one driver who is having some good luck to start the season is James Bume. He's currently leading by 0.7 of a second over the two Pure Sims Esports BMWs of Ross McFarlane and Alex Davidson, up 1 place and 2 places respectively. Jack Sedgwick in 4th isn't a factor in all of this, although he has stayed ahead. But for how long? Because Matthias is giving it as good as he's getting. Trying to go down the inside at the kink, but that's going to compromise him. Sedgwick had the faster run, and here comes Leif Sebastian. Where's that pace come from? My goodness! 2 overtakes around the outside of Canada corner. Can Leif keep a hold of that? I don't think they can, although they will have the inside for the next corner. A little bit of a squeeze. Well, they gained 1 spot through all of that. But meanwhile, at the front of your field, it is going to be James Bume. Now, is he getting the checkered flag? He must be, because he's weaving. Yes, he is. It's going to be a race win here for James Bume for Altitude Esports once again here for round 4 of the World GT Championship. Chris Gooch, what a first win in Pro-Am for him. 8th place overall, ahead of Dennis Grabowski. And William Guthrie is going to be the winner in AM for that Full Tilt V Autosport team. So a good day for William in his championship challenge in AM.
Hugely important. Yeah, William Guthrie sits in 3rd at the moment, but the driver 7 points ahead of him, Adam Hedgecock, finished in 32nd place. So there was a lot going on there in the AM class. Several drivers getting in fact, Adam Hedgecock made his way up to 27th as a refresh, but it's not the best by his standards. So yeah, and of course Sophia Redpath getting turned around and finished in 29th. So for William Guthrie, that's a great result.
Certainly has been. We'll get you results in just a moment, but first what we will do is we will give it a spin of the wheel here for the first time tonight. It'll be 2 times that we get to use the spin of the wheel here tonight. So as that wheel slows down, we shall get what the reverse grid draw is, and that is going to be 22. Wow, that's going to be interesting to see how that turns out for the drivers as we go through our provisional race results here for round number 4 of the World GT Championship. James Bume for Altitude Esports is the winner by 0.6 of a second over Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims Esports, and his teammate for Alex Davidson rounds off the podium. Jack Sedgwick in 4th ahead of Leif Sebastian, who made that terrific challenge on the last lap ahead of Matthias Lussack. Then it's Matt Fletcher in 7th place ahead of the Mystic Turtles and Technology 1 car of Chris Gooch, your top Pro-Am, who finished just ahead of Dennis Grabowski in his 9th place, 2nd place in Pro-Am. Morgan Butler rounding out the top 10. Michael Rack then dropped down the order, finished 11th place for the Apex 1 by Simitech team. Phil Samways for Full Tilt v Simsport will be the 3rd place Pro-Am driver in 12th place ahead of Daniel Sedgley and Adam Watson. William Guthrie for Full Tilt v Autosport finishes 15th and is the top AM finishing driver ahead of Andy Archer and Jonathan Walker. The 2nd place AM driver is Carol Pukalka for their team ahead of Lewis Bibby, and Jesse Payne Wilkins for Full Tilt v Motorsports rounds out the top 3 of AM. Paul Crawford is then 21st, sharing the front row of the next race with Rafal Jajaj in 22nd. So the Semper Racing driver will start on pole position. Michael Gray ahead of Paul Webster, 2 teammates, and Niels Bocage, who had that incident on the restart. Ben Gregory, Adam Hedgecock, Patrick Faulkner, Sophia Ridpath, who drops down the order to 29th ahead of Nathan Healy. Final few cars who finished: Paul Joseph Clist, Marcin Rabicek and Matt Sheriff, who's finished last on the lead lap. Jesse Stevens 2 laps down, Victorino, Critchley, Jones, Stevenson, Simner and Perry round out all the drivers. So that is the opening race of the evening here, Peter. But I think it's safe to say it's the first round of the championship where we've seen a bit more chaos than what we'd like to see.
Yeah, quite a bit more we saw in this opening race of the day, and several drivers getting taken up in incidents not of their own making, so there'll be a lot of quite frustrated drivers, I think, going into this next one. But a very important 5-minute warm-up session coming up, because not only do they need to reset and get themselves ready for the next race, but also get a feel on how the track conditions are changing as well, because as it heats up here at Road America, it can get very, very greasy on the surface too, so they'll have to be keeping an eye on that.
Well, let's just have a look at some of what happened here on the start then, and what happened in this race. So it was a good start for James Bume at the opening of this race to take that through, and the drivers went across the line, and it was the chaos that happened. Well, first of all, at turn 5, where we saw that incident with cars getting onto the grass, and it was time to go a bit bowling, wasn't it?
Yes, bowling would be definitely, you're right, it was turn 5, just down the hill on the grass, no chance to stop it. And then same again at the kink, Matteo Victorino losing it at the kink all on his own, and that just triggered one enormous mighty pile-up and triggering the safety car, which we don't see that often here in the World GT Championship, but this time we have. Yeah,
we did see that, and that's what happened. That was the outcome of everything that happened in that incident, and unfortunately we did see more incidents, but this is a look back to what happened then down at turn number 5, as we saw, and it was just, well, I know we're not at Watkins Glen, but it was almost time to go bowling there, wasn't it?
Yeah, and well, we could even have some Salins hot dog as well. Matteo Victorino showing you that even with a top driver at the wheel on those cold tyres as the rear came around, and poor old Ethan Critchley, he got sent halfway up the trees there. So many drivers having the race ruined. With 40 cars on the grid and 22 car reverse, it's going to really shake up the order again, so we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, we will see how this all goes. And there was more chaos. Paul Webster getting involved with Nicholas Bocage there. I think it was actually Webster just getting into the back. There was Grabowski going wide there, and it was when he was fighting with the Altitude Esports driver of Matt Fletcher, and that's what cost him. But then there was more happened. That was on the restart that we saw what happened there for Tim Perry.
Yeah, crashing on the single file restart is really inexcusable for the drivers involved there. But this was much more like it. Jack Sedgwick making a move there on Matthew Luchuk, and they were just switching positions back and forth, no contact, brilliant stuff, giving fair racing room. That's what we want to see.
Certainly is. Great racing between the two of them, a bit of respect as well, so definitely great stuff to watch. And even on the last lap, and then it was the run from Leif Sebastian that gave us some tremendous opportunity. I thought he was going to get 2 places here into Canada Corner, but Jack Sedgwick just hung on to that one at the last minute and kept the inside, but it did mean that Leif did get ahead of Matthias Luxak in the end there, but it was a win for James Bume for Altitude Esports. He'll be delighted with that one, taking victory there for him with Chris Gooch. What a first Pro-Am win for Chris, and what a track to do that at. And William Guthrie with the Am win here in that last race. So definitely plenty of action, and we'll be hoping for more action here in the World GT Championship. The drivers are just getting themselves prepared for this final race, so we will step aside for just a few moments and hear from the series sponsors. Welcome back to live coverage of the World GT Championship by World Sim Racing here on RaceSpotTV for rounds number 4, 5 and 6 of the championship from Road America. Paul Smith and Peter Mackay in the commentary box here. Now, before we do get into the second race, Peter, I can tell you, 14 days, 23 hours, 19 minutes and 14 seconds, the opening round of the debut of the World Sim Racing World Sports Car Championship will be underway on RaceSpot.
It's a very specific rundown. I'm very excited as well. I can tell you're counting the days as you're preparing to compete in that one. In the are you still going with the Mercedes, are you?
Yeah, in the Mercedes GT4.
Yeah, very good choice indeed. We're going to see multi-class sports car racing with the prototype class with the new Ligier LMP3 car, a wonderful machine with its big thumping 5.6 litre V8 in the back of it, so really interesting car there. And then the GT4s, a lot of machinery there to choose from Mercedes, Porsche, Aston Martin, BMW, even McLaren as well. So yeah, really interesting addition to the suite of championships that we have here in the World Sim Racing paddock to go along with World GT and the World Touring Car Series. It's fantastic news.
And it will mean that I've raced in now 3 World Sim Racing championships. I was saying to Connery last week on the World Touring Cars coverage that the driving standards seem to have improved in that series ever since I left. So I think I'm not holding much hope for a couple of weeks' time.
I think you're going to be just fine, Paul. Just go in there relaxed and you'll be grand. You'll be grand. Well, in this practice session, this quick warm-up, Ross McFarlane quickest at the moment, a 205 flat, 205.013 to be exact. 72 thousandths behind him is Leif Sebastian. Then it's Alex Davidson making it 2 Pure Sims BMWs in the top 3. It appears, Paul, from race 1 that the everybody was talking at the start of the season how the Porsche was the car to have and it was overbalanced, blah blah blah, and we come to a quite different character of race circuit, a little bit more of a power circuit, and hey presto, BMW seems like the car to have. That's, but it's great to see that there's different circuits that suits different cars. That's what makes an exciting championship.
Yeah, and you think of, we go after in 2 weeks' time then for an endurance race around Silverstone. We then go to Circuit de la Sarthe the week after that, and then Barcelona for the midway point of the series. Again, you've got some different tracks there. You've got Silverstone, which is high speed with high speed corners. You've got Le Mans with Mulsanne and with the run down to Indianapolis being absolute just flat out VMAX. And then you've got Barcelona Catalonia, which is quite a technical track. You've got different variation there.
I think it's the best calendar of races we've seen in any season for the World GT Championship, particularly the stateside swing to start off. It's wonderful.
Well, the drivers will be getting themselves set for the second race of the evening, and we will be able to take you through your qualifying grid, your reverse grid draw, and here's Paul Crawford who's starting at the front. So the driver who finished in 22nd isn't actually on the grid, I can see. So it's Paul Crawford and Jesse Payne Wilkins sharing the front row with Lewis Bibby and Carol Pukalka, with Jonathan Walker and Andy Archer on row number 3. Row 4, Will Guthrie and Adam Watson. Daniel Sedgley and Phil Samways sharing row number 5. The 6th row, Michael Rack and Morgan Butler. Row number 7 for Dennis Grabowski and Chris Gooch, with Mark Fletcher, Matthias Lukac, with Leif Sebastian and Jack Sedgwick then on row number 9. Row 10 for Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane, with race 1 winner James Bume starting in 21st. Alongside him, Michael Gray. Paul Webster and Nicholas Bocage then on the row number 12. Row 13 for Ben Gregory and Adam Hedgecock. Patrick Faulkner, Sophia Ridpath then on row 14. The 15th row, Nathan Healy and Paul Clist. It's row 16 for Martin Rabicek, with Matt Sheriff alongside him. Jess Stevens and Matthew Victorino then on row 17, with row 18 of Ethan Critchley and Andy Jones. The 19th row of the grid is Chris Stevenson and Richard Simner, and Tim Perry all on his own on row number 20. But the big news of it all is that Rafael Drajaj is not out there.
Well, that's really caps off a difficult start to the day. That's not what we want to see for Rafael Drajaj. He was near the back in race 1 and now not making it to race 2. Not ideal whatsoever, but that track temperature really starting to cook now. That's going to make it really slick and tricky for our drivers. Sort of middle of the afternoon now. This is as greasy and as slippy as it's going to be.
certainly is. 43 degrees track temperature. What's that in freedom units? That's what, just over 100 in Fahrenheit?
Oh yeah, over 100, definitely.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've experienced over 100 in Austin, Texas. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all, is these sorts of temperatures. There we go, 110 Fahrenheit. Thank you, Hugo.
Whoosh. That's that's very but that's track temperature. It's 80 in the air, but 110 track temperature. That's going to make it very, very greasy for our drivers.
It's not quite as hot as a Monza pit lane, I'm just saying that. Anyway, as these drivers, and Peter, you know all about that as well, these drivers will be getting themselves set for the second race of the evening. It's an opportunity for some of those drivers who are starting at the front here to get themselves the best possible points that they can get for their respective championship. For anyone new to watching this championship, Peter, just explain how it works for the different classes.
Yeah, so we have 3 different classes which are based mainly upon the driver's iRating, which is kind of the ranking in the world of iRacing, which goes up and down depending on results in official races. But with those three classes, they're all going on at once, but they all score the same points for depending on where they finish. So it's not as if, if as long as you win the AM class, you're guaranteed the maximum points. No, the better, say if you're in the AM class, the further up the overall order you are, the more points you gain. So the overall result is so important. But we've got 3 races in one: AM, Pro-Am and Pro. It's very exciting.
It does lead to some fantastic racing and dramatic championship finishes, which is what we're used to here in the World GT Championship, and I'm sure this season will be no different as well. But the drivers are getting themselves into Canada Corner behind the pace car. Paul Crawford is going to be the one who sets the pace as to when the drivers will get allowed to be released under the pace car. And interested to see, again, it's Porsche, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, Porsche, McLaren, BMW, Porsche, BMW, Porsche, and then the Mercedes in the top 10. So again, a big mix of cars in that top 10. How will they all get on here? Well, we're about to find out. It's time for Barney the Flagman to get the green flag in the air. And we are going to be underway for round number 5 of the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Green flag, and we're heading down towards turn number 1. Paul Crawford does get across, chops the nose of Jesse Payne Wilkins into turn number 1. Here comes Lewis Bibby down the inside into 1. Will they all manage to get through here? So far, so good, but there's still a few more danger areas to come around this opening lap. In towards turn number 3 for the first time. A good overtaking opportunity, but you're more about the run out of the corner. And there's a car spinning off. It's Michael Rack. Michael Rack, he's had an awful start to both races here. In this one, there he goes rejoining to the right-hand side of the drivers. Here's Ethan Critchley heading down towards turn number 5. Through the Marine Suite and down into turn number 5. Pick your lane. Where do you go? Later braking here from Ethan Critchley around the outside. Doesn't quite work out for him though.
That was a karting move there from Ethan Critchley, using such an alternative line, braking much later than his rivals and trying to make space where you just wouldn't think there was. But he is shuffling through the order, is Ethan Critchley, trying to rescue his evening at a disastrous race 1, getting caught up in that wreck coming out of the kink. But now really got to try and get up and get a result here, but crucially get inside the reverse grid draw for race 3. That is the key now for Ethan Critchley.
We now just hold our breath now. Can everybody get through the kink nice and clean? No, we can't. We've got enough of one of those Apex 1 cars off the track. Keeps it on the grey stuff though. We stay green flag racing in towards Canada Corner. And down the inside goes the Altitude Esports car. So a gain of position then further down. Trouble for those cars. Oh, and Dennis Grabowski into the gravel trap. Oh, this is not a good round for Dennis and Jonathan Walker. Well, 3M UK, they're a series sponsor, but nobody's a respecter of the sponsor.
Don't hit the sponsor. No, Gromit. Definitely not the thing to do there as well. With goodness, is this the race start or are we on lap 3? Goodness me, it's side by side, 2 by 2, and oh, it's all gone wrong. Oh, Chris Gooch, our Pro-Am winner in race 2, is off.
Yeah, it's unfortunately getting caught up in things. Gets back onto the track though, I can tell you. But Lewis Bibby, it's been a good start for him in this race behind Paul Crawford, and they've been able to gap out Andy Archer here a little bit. Carol Pukalka is in 4th place, one of our newcomers, a couple of newcomers to the series this round. Always good to welcome new drivers to the series, and a bit of a squeeze going on there from Alex Davidson on Phil Samways, and through he goes. Samways is for being tagged. Oh dear, that was Matthias Lutzak, who just caught the rear quarter of Phil Samways' Mercedes. It's normally the front end of the car that you can't miss, but this time it was the rear.
Well, it's further away from the engine, I suppose. It is mostly engine, that car, the big 6.2 litre V8 thumper in the front of that machine. Oh, it always sounds fantastic as well, just echoing around the circuit and then threading it through that incredible corner at the kink. And at the front, we've got a change at the front of the field. Lewis Bibby has gone to the front in the number 313 Porsche, going past Paul Crawford. So Pro-Am Lewis Bibby goes into the lead. Watch out as well for Andy Archer in the Pro-Am class in that Fat Atom McLaren in the green and black machine.
Yeah, that's that car. It's Fat Atom. We were talking before the broadcast here, Peter, weren't we? That either they've made a big mistake of Fat Atom, or that they know something that other teams don't know about that McLaren.
Yeah, they've spotted something. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it otherwise. So, yeah, very interesting stuff there from Fat Atom. But you know, Ethan Critchley put it on Paul at Sebring. They must see something in it. Yeah,
it's whether they can keep up those results and keep moving forward. That's the question here. Down through the Moraine Suite once again we go into the braking zone of turn number 5. I mean, to everybody else around the world that's turn 3, but apparently it's turn 5 around here. Again, don't write the angry letters to me, so send them off to the circuit instead. Through turn 6 a go, and we've got Adam Watson now in the middle of a gaggle of cars, ahead of William Guthrie, but behind Leif Sebastian. We saw how Leif could make those moves and try and make them stick, as Dennis Grabowski now getting the inside of William Guthrie into the hurry downs.
And through the carousel they go, just leaning. The tyre temperatures will just be going through the roof there, particularly the front left, just getting tortured in that endless right hand bend, and then through to the King is just getting even more torture as well. Of course, clockwise circuit here, the front left, even in a sprint race like this, is going to take a pounding in this track temperature.
Yes it is. With it being an anti-clockwise course, a lot more lefts than there are a lot more rights than there are lefts, so it's putting that force and that pressure on that front left and really putting that front left through the ringer. I bet they're all glad that they're not having to do an endurance round around here right now.
No, that would be incredibly difficult, very difficult for the tyres here in this kind of track temperature. So Lewis Bibby holds on for now. We've got big movers as well. Leif Sebastian up to 8th. That's a good run from him, and Ross McFarlane just moved into 12th position. James Boumé still mired back in 15th. So this reverse grid race once again, Ross McFarlane coming to the fore.
Yeah, you talk about big movers. Leif Sebastian up 9 places, Mark Fletcher up 9 places as well. Ross McFarlane up 8. Marcin Rebjicek up 12 places in this race. That's the biggest mover in the field right now. Adam Hedgecock has dropped down, by the way, a few places on that last lap, so he's obviously had something happen to him and his Porsche. But it's good that we're getting some green flag action and getting some green flag racing here. And here's the thing, Lewis Bibby's got to the front, but that draft is pulling Paul Crawford along here, and he's dragging Andy Archer, Carol Pukalka and Daniel Sedgley for the ride as well in that top 5.
Yeah, and this is Karol Pukalka doing a top job in 4th place there on his debut in the series. And yeah, there's an opportunity of an overall podium here. What a result that would be for the AM-Class driver. One of the lower I-rating drivers in the field, but you wouldn't know it. He's running a great pace right now.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. Great debut to the series. It just goes to show how a reverse grid draw can really help you out with your week, as Liv Sebastian moving up a place. That's now 10 places gained in this race. That one, latest one over Jesse Payne Wilkins. So change of position for those two. Further down the top 10 of the field. Oh, dive to the inside. Well, there's only one driver who can make a dive like that into the last corner. It was Adam Watson, and Dennis Grabowski said, "Oh, thanks very much, mate. I'll follow that open door."
Oh, that was a superb move there from Adam Watson. That's when he's at his best. That's the kind of moves that he can come out with, and that was inspired going down into turn 14 there. Meanwhile, Grabowski having to go to the defensive as he's got big company from 3 cars queued up behind him. After that sort of shuffle around with the move from Adam Watson. So 11 minutes to go, just coming up half race distance. And how's your nerve now? Really going to be tricky with these tyres.
It certainly is, and after a little while you will find that drop-off will happen, and if you push too early with these tyres, you build up too much temperature in them in the early stages, and then you just not got as much grip, you've not got as much handling as both Ross McFarlane and Alex Davidson make their way past Jesse Payne Wilkins. So change of position and the loss of 2 for Jesse there. Still 3rd place in AM though, as Jesse, as we reach the halfway point of this race. Lewis Bibby does lead this race overall ahead of Paul Crawford, so that's a Pro-Am leader, and then an AM driver 2nd place leading AM. 3rd place for Andy Archer ahead of Karol Pukalka in 4th place with Daniel Sedgley 5th. Jesse Payne Wilkins is still the better 3rd best AM driver in 14th now, because James Bume, our race 1 winner, has finally made it past. So James has got back onto the tail of the 2 Pure Sims Esports drivers.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good reference point if you're running the pace of the Pure Sims guys. You're doing a good job. And James Bume, that's who he's got his sights set on this season, is those 2 Pure Sims drivers, Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane. I mean, there's just nothing to pick between them.
Crawford's dropping down. I know, that's him in the gravel. Oh, he was pole sitter. He was in 2nd place. Oh, and he's got an agonising wait whilst everyone comes past. Oh, and I've just seen not the greatest moment of rejoining.
Yeah, after waiting for so long and then just misjudging it seemed, but nevertheless, back at the front, there's moves going on as Daniel Sedgley gets the move done on Karol Pukalka. Andy Archer's got up into 2nd in the Fat Atom McLaren, but it's Lewis Bibby who leads now with a 2.3 second advantage at the front of the field.
And look at who's at the back of this queue now. Matt Fletcher and Leif Sebastian. We know that Leif can make some moves. We've seen it in race number 1. We've seen it here in race number 2. Oh, Karol Pukalka gets turned by Leif, and now, well, there's a gaggle of cars coming through. Adam Watson, Dennis Grabowski, Ross McFarlane's trying to go around the outside and tagged again. Oh, around they go. Well, I tell you what, if you're on the stewarding panel after this round, I think you've got a busy week ahead of you. Fortunately, we've got a week off next week.
They're going to need it to get through all this lot. Goodness me, order some more biscuits for the steward's room. Good, and that was a perfect 360 though, it must be said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well held. The way it shakes things out though is you can see that, oh dear me, that was Now, was that Andy
That was
Archer
Crawford.
getting into
Yep.
the back of Fletcher? Now that's
that was
definitely-
Crawford. That's Paul Crawford's incident in the last corner.
And Andy Archer getting into the back of him.
And then you've waited all that time, and you pull away.
Two
It's not a proud
DCW
moment.
racing cars there.
Yeah. I think Paul will look back at that one and just say, yeah, I'll hold my hand up, and he stopped right when he exited the corner as well. Here's what happened on lap number 1, by the way. Going back to a little bit, Michael Rack, it was, who had that moment and has not had the best 2 opening laps of this round of the championship. Here's Matt Sheriff as well on lap 1. This is. Around he goes. Got tagged. Got assistance, outside assistance there. Around he goes. It's been, even though we did stay green flag racing, Peter, it was a bit more chaotic, it seems.
Yeah, there was lots and lots of chaos there. Nathan Healy getting a help into the gravel at Canada Corner as well. Jonathan Walker. Now, was Jonathan Walker the 360? No. Was he helped off by his teammate?
What? I was going to say, wasn't that Leif? Wasn't that Leif Sebastian?
Yeah. The series sponsor, Golden Rule.
This was Gooch as well after his great result in race 1, finding the tyre barrier, but fortunately doesn't cause much damage. Andy Jones gets onto the grass, half loses it, tries to correct it, gets on the grass on the other side of the track. Well avoided by those 2 BMWs, I must say.
Wow, this our producer Hugo Luis, his computer working overtime, queuing all these up, and Adam Hedgecock's disastrous visit to Road America continues. That looked like an incident all on his own, actually. Yeah. Losing it coming out of turn 13 is easy to do. Tim Perry loses it on his own as well, going into turn 1, trying to run a really outside wide line. Meanwhile, further back, we've got Andy Archer getting the move put on him by Mark Fletcher. Daniel Sedgley in there too, so this is the battle for second. Lewis Bibby's looking in his mirror saying, where's everyone gone?
Well, that incident with Sebastian and Pakalka collecting each other at turn 5, that has separated the front group, hasn't it? And it's just allowed Lewis Bibby to pull away. 3.5 seconds Lewis is ahead of these cars, and Mark Fletcher is on a charge. I just think it's a bit too much to catch up to Lewis, but he's looking a potential second place down the inside. And Daniel Sedgley, terse flash of the headlights, and here comes Andy Archer, and this is a Pro-Am battle now for third place.
Mark Fletcher really is the man on the move here. He might just run out of time to catch up with Lewis Bibby. Their best lap times, they're only 0.3 of a second apart. So yeah, with 3.3 seconds up the road, a win might be a bit of an ask here for Mark Fletcher, but you never know. It's a difficult circuit here at Road America. If you make one mistake, it really does bite. So, but for Mark Fletcher, doing a really top job. He's cut through the field with real gusto in that 111 Porsche.
Yeah, the Altitude Esports driver, not just driver, but team boss as well, moving forward, moving through the field. 13 places gained. Ross McFarlane up 15 places in this race, as well as further down, Jesse Stevens up 17 places. Victorino and Ethan Critchlet, must be pointed out, up 13 places. They've pretty much been stuck together of those two, so they've been working through together. And I mean, we've seen the pace of Victorino in previous rounds, having won the opening race last time out at VIR. We've not really seen him being able to charge his way through the field, so it's good to see that he's in this race and he has been gaining places.
Yeah, making just little movements up through the field. The Pure Sims BMWs, they've had a good run. Russ McFarlane up to 5th from 21st on the grid. That's quite a performance, and he's brought his teammate with him, Alex Davidson, right behind in 6th. So really strong, and they'll get a couple of points back here on James Boumé, who's back in 11th. In fact, he's just lost the position to Jack Sedgwick as Boumé. So, yeah, James Boumé is going to drop a few points, and actually net over the course of the 2 races so far will lose some points to McFarlane in the championship chase. There was only 5 points between them coming in here, so we could actually see net after this race McFarlane move into the lead of the championship.
And this is where Ross McFarlane wins championships, isn't it? On nights like this, where it's a multi-race evening with a reverse grid draw, it's these nights where Ross does have that edge over pretty much anyone who challenges him for a championship.
Oh, he's just relentless in these kind of situations, and makes him so hard to beat. That's why he's got 4 World GT Championships to his name. It's Jack Sedgwick making a move up the order here on the number 73 BMW of Matches Luchak. That's they're just continuing their battle from race 1. They've been glued together all of this race weekend. And then I tell you what, James Boumé looks to be struggling a little bit. He's lost a bit of time back there. He's just behind Matches Luchak right now, but a no-risk strategy for James Boumé. Maybe not such a bad idea considering how many drivers are queuing up at the Parks truck.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, genuine spares will be going for a small fortune here as Ross McFarlane gets the run on Andy Archer, who just ran a little bit wide through the kink there, and Alex Davidson's going to bully his way through and follow Ross there. So Andy Archer still 3rd place in class in Pro-Am, but he is down to 6th place now in this race, but he's back to where he started. So you gain some, but then you lose some here in the World GT Championship. We're going to be starting the final lap of the race. Lewis Bibby. Now, I'm interested to see what his lap times are compared to Matt Fletcher. Lewis Bibby, 2:06.1. Fletcher, 2:05.7. It's too much to ask of Fletcher on this last lap of 2.25 seconds to catch. Yeah,
just a little bit too little too late, but it's been a great charge from Mark Fletcher, and more points on the board for Altitude Esports, who are stepping up to the top table of the World GT Championship, right up there. They're ahead of Pure Sims in the championship chase for teams at the moment, and that is the kind of scalp that they want to see. So the BMW there of Daniel Sedgley actually just waving the 2 Pure Sims BMWs past, just saying, my fight's not with you. And Alex Davidson has said, oh, thank you very much. I said, you buy one, you get one free. He's through.
Well, is he through though? Because Ross McFarlane's sticking it there. Around the outside, it's the inside for 7. And yes, Davidson gets ahead. And you can tell there are no team orders at Pure Sims Esports. It is very much, it's Dennis Grabowski trying to get his way past Andy Archer. And now all of a sudden Jack Sedgwick has joined to the back of this party, and so too as James Boumé. So all of a sudden we've got a gaggle of cars all trying to go for 3rd place at the end here. Matt Fletcher has been gaining on this last lap, but it's not enough, that is for sure, as there he is at the front. And well, Lewis Bibby done all that he needed to do here, got to the front. Nice clean move on Paul Crawford, got to the front, and then all he needs to do is just get himself through the final corner here. Don't get yourself any penalties at all. And then at the final corner, Lewis Bibby, not only is it a Pro-Am win here in round number 5, but it is the overall win here in round number 5 of the World GT Championship. Across the line he comes. Matt Fletcher is going to be the top pro here in 2nd place. The top am is going to be, I'm just looking down my order, it's going to be Karol Pukalka. I mean, what a debut to the series. Congratulations. That's an AM win in race number 2 of the evening.
That's brilliant stuff. And in the Mercedes, it's not the most popular car in the field, but Karol Pukalka's made it work. Brilliant stuff from him to get such a strong result, winning the AM class. And it wasn't, it wasn't all plain sailing either, Paul. He was involved in an incident and still managed to get the class win.
Tremendous stuff there. We're just waiting for the final couple of cars to come across the line, but while we are doing that, We will see what the final reverse grid draw of the evening will be here on the World GT Championship. Pleasure to have you all along here watching, and well, it's going to be 21st is the reverse grid. So, well, that's just one place more, or one place less, should I say, than we saw at the end of race number 1 of the evening. So we'll go through the permutations of that for you right now for the provisional results of round number 5 of the World GT Championship. And it's Lewis Bibby for Orbit Motorsport who wins this one. Not only a win, as I say, but a Pro-Am win as well. Mark Fletcher for Altitude Esports is second place and the best pro in the field here. Second place. Third place ahead is Alex Davidson for Pure Sims Esports, ahead of his teammate Ross McFarlane, who he made the move on in that last lap to the race. Daniel Sedgley finishes in 5th place for Olympus Esports, but that's 2nd place in Pro-Am. Andy Archer, Fat Atom Racing, getting a 3rd place in Pro-Am, finishing 6th place overall ahead of Dennis Grabowski. Jack Sedgwick, Adam Watson and James Bume round out the top 10. Karol Pukalka with incidents and racing, hard racing in that race to finish 11th and the best of the AM drivers then. Great result for Carol, ahead of Leif Sebastian, Jesse Stevens, Morgan Butler and Jesse Payne Wilkins for Full Tilt V Motorsports. 2nd place in AM, 15th overall, ahead of teammate Michael Gray. William Guthrie, 3rd place in AM for Full Tilt V Autosport, in 17th place. Phil Samways, Ethan Critchley. Matthew Victorino is going to be sharing the front row of the grid with Nils Bukaj. So the MJB Performance by Foka Transport driver will be starting on pole position, but Matthew Victorino should be very happy with a front row start for him. Paul Webster just misses out in the reverse grid along with Marcin Rebicek. Chris Gooch ahead of Sophia Ridpath, Chris Stevenson, Tim Perry, Andy Jones, Paul Joseph Clist and Adam Hedgecock, who we saw have that incident at Bill Mitchell Bend. Paddy Faulkner, Richard Simner, Ben Gregory, Nathan Healy, all lead lap finishers. Then it's Matthias Lukchak, 1 lap down ahead, Michael Rack. So Apex 1 with Simutech not having a good second race there. Matt Sheriff and Paul Crawford and Jonathan Walker all did not finish. But Peter, with good luck and hopefully the highlights machine doesn't set on fire here for what happened in race number 2.
I don't know how we're going to fit it in to the time we've got between now and the end of the beginning of the final race. Goodness me, it was all kicking off. That move from Ethan Critchley there, trying to find space that just others weren't going for on that opening lap. Really fun to watch.
Certainly was, and you called it. It was a real karting move, and well, he is quite experienced in karting as well as Ethan, so he knows his stuff when it comes to that form of motorsport. This is what happened to Chris Gooch. After that great finish in race number 1, finds the tyre barrier in race number 2 of the evening. And still there was plenty of action further down, including James Bume making moves forward on Jesse Payne Wilkins.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Bume, but a measured drive there, I would say. You know, he came home in 10th in the end. I think from 22nd on the grid, that's really good. You know, he has less experience of being that pro driver, having to come through the pack as much as say, for example, Ross McFarlane and Alex Davidson do. They are very comfortable with this type of racing, and for James Bume it's new, and I think really he has acquitted himself very, very well.
There was the 360 from Lev Sebastian with Karol Pukalka getting involved in all of that. And the moves were being made up towards the front. Mark Fletcher, one of those on Daniel Sedgley. He was made to work for it, though, was Mark. It wasn't easy, and it was down towards turn number 1 where that all got sorted into turn 1. And almost turned into essentially wanting to squeeze as much as possible, gives a flash of the headlights, but it doesn't matter because Andy Archer, was the next one following through.
Yeah, Andy Archer certainly getting his elbows out there to finish in 6th place in the Fat Atom McLaren. Are we any clearer whether the choice to go for that McLaren is a good idea or not, Paul? I honestly don't think we are any clearer.
I'll shake my magic 8 ball and find out, and it says the decision is unclear. As we go on with the highlights there, that was a lovely move from Jack Sedgwick. We saw on Matthias Luchak, who didn't actually finish on the lead lap, so something happened on the last lap for Matthias. But the Apex 1 was Simitech team. It was promising with qualifying. The opening race didn't go great, and it's just progressively got worse through the evening for them.
Yes, it did, but the Pure Sims drivers, they were shuffling it through. Alex Davidson did get that final spot on the podium from 20th on the grid. That's quite a run. Also Ross McFarlane 21st on the grid to 4th. But Lewis Bibby from Orbit Motorsport, that was a sublime performance. Took full advantage of that grid spot.
Certainly did. It was Mark Fletcher who got the pro win in that race, and what a welcome. Karol Pokalka getting the AM win in race number 2 of the evening, but it'll be difficult going here in the 3rd race of the evening. The drivers are getting themselves prepped. They're in the warm-up session right now, but you will not miss any of the action here on RaceSpotTV. We'll be right back after these messages from the series sponsors. Welcome back to live coverage of the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV for round number 6 of the World GT Championship Season 14. It's Paul Smith and Peter Mackay here behind the microphones here today. Behind the scenes is Hugo Luis, who's bringing you all of the pictures and slowly putting out the fires that are his replay machine, Peter, because it's been a busy old night for Paul Hugo, hasn't it?
He has been busy. It's a good job he's a fast typer, because there's been plenty to watch out for as we progress into the early evening here in Sim at Road America, with 2.5 minutes left on the clock in practice. Now track temperature's gone down quite significantly, 14 degrees less track temperature than it was at this point before race 2, and immediately the lap times are about a second quicker. So it just shows you how much that track temperature makes a difference.
it has a massive impact, doesn't it, around, especially around somewhere like this where you have got some long radius corners that are punishing, especially that front left tyre. You know, turn 1, turn 3, turn 7, the carousel, the kink, Canada corner, and the last corner, all putting some significant forces through that front left. So I think with the cooler temperatures, the drivers will be feeling much happier.
They will, yeah. It will just feel like a new race car when they get out there in this practice session. Most drivers taking an opportunity to set a couple of laps. Ethan Critchley going quick as well, second quickest, a 204.7. So that McLaren clearly likes the cooler track temperatures. And Karol Pukalka in the AM class, just 0.6 of a second off Ross McFarlane. That's not a bad first day at the office here in the World GT Championship.
Yeah, for that full tilt team as well, certainly doing a good job. The series admins have been keeping us up to date with the points in the championship after the first 2 races of the evening. James Bume has only got a 2-point lead over Ross McFarlane coming into this final race of the evening. In that Pro Championship, Leif Sebastian still 3rd place, but now 76 points back from James in the standings. Dennis Grabowski still leading the Pro-Am, 51 points ahead of Daniel Sedgley, with Adam Watson in 3rd place now, 10 points back from Sedgley coming into this 3rd race of the evening. In AM, Sophia Ridpath does still lead it by 60 points, so the gap has come down a little bit for over William Guthrie. Adam Hedgecock, 3rd place now, 80 points off of the series leader in AM. So, as I say, thank you very much to the series organisers for updating those points as we go along. But let's not forget, drop scores do have an effect in the first 11 rounds of the championship. It's just round 12 where they do not affect.
Yeah, that's where, thankfully for us, from a mathematical point of view as well, Paul, isn't it, that we don't have to worry too much about those drop scores in that final chase for the championship. But yeah, you want that drop score to be as good as possible. You don't want it to be a big fat 0.
Certainly not. Well, the drivers will be getting themselves set for the final race of the evening, and we'll be getting ourselves set for the final race of the evening here at Elkhart Lake for round number 6 of the World GT Championship. And it is going to be Nils Bocage who will be on pole position, and sharing that front row with him is Matthew Victorino, with Ethan Critchley and Phil Samways on row number 2. The 3rd row of William Guthrie and Michael Gray. Row number 4 for Jesse Payne Wilkins and Morgan Butler, with row 5 shared by Jess Stevens and Leif Sebastian. Karol Pukalka is sharing row number 6 with James Bume. 8th row of the grid then for Adam Watson and Jack Sedgwick, with Dennis Grabowski and Andy Archer sharing row number 8 for that one, Row number 9 for Daniel Sedgley and Ross McFarlane, with row 10 of Alex Davidson and Mark Fletcher. Race 2 of the evening winner, Lewis Bibby, is on row number 11, shared with Paul Webster. Marcin Rebicek and Chris Gooch share row number 12. The 13th row, Sophia Ridpath and her teammate Chris Stevenson, with Tim Perry and Andy Jones on row number 14. Row 15 is Paul Clist and Adam Hedgecock. 16th row of the grid, Patrick Faulkner and Richard Simner, with Ben Gregory and Nathan Healy on row number 14. Row number 17, should I say. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Matthias Lukczak and Michael Rack then on row number 18, with row 19 shared by Matt Sheriff, who's not had the best of welcomes to the series. Paul Crawford there, and Jonathan Walker starting all the way back on row number 20. I'll have to get my abacus out, Peter, for counting row numbers here on the grids. But big grid once again here in the World GT Championship. And yes, there's been a little bit of carnage, but there's been some really good racing in there as well.
There has been, yeah. Let's focus on that, because, yeah, you're right. There has been some really high quality stuff. Matteo Victorino He's had race-winning pace at points through this championship. The results just have not come through. He's been so unlucky in that Impulse Racing Porsche. Sometimes he's made mistakes of his own, but he has huge speed. Starting from the front row of the grid, he's got to be an early favourite for this race one. However, that Fat Atom McLaren, the red and black machine of Ethan Critchley, he'll be trying to go with Matteo Victorino. That is going to be your fight, I think, in the early stages for the overall win. In terms of the other one, James Woomy starting from 12th, he could come through as well with Ross McFarlane and Alex Davison. They're starting back in 18th and 19th, very similar to where they were in race 2.
Now, I believe we've got 2 cars are not taking to the start. Leif Sebastian and Tim Perry. They're on pit road, so something's happened to those two that they've not actually been able to make it out for the start of this race. So they're going to be a chunk of time behind the rest of them when the race does start.
Yeah, that's a strange one for those two, for Lee Sebastian and for Tim Perry. They had their trials and tribulations in varying degrees through race 2, so a curious one there for those drivers. And again, with 40 cars to get through, that's not an ideal start to this race 3 by any means. They're going to be praying for a pace car actually to try and get them a little bit further up the order.
I think, a pace car definitely to catch them up, because how things happen here on iRacing is if you start from the pit road, you've got to wait until the field go past. It either holds you for a set time or it'll let you leave your pit box. You can't wait at the end of pit road like you can do in real life. You've got to wait in your pit box, and you are held there until the back of the field goes past, or a set time, say if it's a multi-class race, to feed you out onto the track. So they're going to be a good sort of 15-20 seconds possibly back from those at the front. But speaking of the front, Niels Bocage, he's been in the wars, especially in race 1 after that contact from the rear from Paul Webster under safety car. Let's hope that he can have a good time out at the front at the field. Victorino, though, waiting and is right up next to Nils, so putting the pressure on early on. He's going to go whilst they're up the hill. We're going to be green flag racing here in round number 6 of the World GT Championship. Green flag underway, and look at Ethan Critchley straight away getting the jump on Victorino. That's not what Matthew wanted. He wanted to be up the front, and Critchley to the front. It's on the inside. Beautiful move. What a rocket start from that McLaren.
It's a false launch for Andy Archer, who's ended up in the gravel trap in complete contrast to his teammate. What a getaway that was from Ethan Critchley off the race start. He won't believe his luck there to get, and well, he will believe this is skill. Oh dear, Adam Hedgecock. Oh, 3 from 3 disasters. Oh dear. Oh no. A night to forget for Lord Hedge.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. We are staying green flag racing though, and we've got moves going on in this field. We've got cars just chopping and changing on this opening lap as well, but it's Critchley at the front ahead of Victorino, and then Niels Bocage ahead of Phil Samways, who's trying to make some moves. And look at this gaggle of cars almost going 3 wide, and that was always going to happen. Contact for William Guthrie. It's been a good round for William, but not now. Oh, there's a Pure Sims Esports car of Jesse Stevens off at the side of the track. There's an Altitude Esports Porsche off at the track as well. I think that's Adam Watson who's dropped down the order. Well, we've had absolute carnage. I could count 7 cars who have got the mechanical warning flag here on the opening lap of the race. But there's been no track blockage, so that means that we keep green flag racing as Lewis Bibby now, the latest one to find the wall.
Yeah, that's coming out the kink there for Lewis Bibby, so not going to be able to back up his win in race 2, that's for certain. James Boumé has made full advantage of that early carnage for a few drivers. He's moved up into 7th overall, in fact make that 6th for Boumé. He's just got past Michael Gray in the Audi, so he's setting his eyes forward, as is Matteo Victorino, who's managed to break clear from Niels Bucage and is now into 2nd, 6/10 of a second back from Ethan Critchley, our breakaway race leader.
Now, Victorino and Critchley have not been separated all evening, have they? They've been together after having a disastrous opening race of the evening for those two. They then were working together through the field. Oh, Paul Webster's off now into the gravel trap. So Paul Webster, I don't know, with it being an Audi, whether it was self-inflicted or not, we don't know, but we're heading down the Moraine sweep, and that's going to be Jack Sedgwick trying to make a move down the inside of Michael Gray, and that is up to 7th place now for Jack.
Yeah, Sedgwick really on the move, isn't he? But so is Ross McFarlane, determined to get come out of Road America with that championship lead. But he's in 10th right now, but his teammate Alex Davidson is down in 33rd, so Alex Davidson was caught up in the melee in that opening lap. So of the Pure Sims BMWs, they've been running in flying formation for the first 2 races, not so here in race 3.
Yeah, they really have been separated out. So yeah, Davidson's down 14 places from where he started, so yeah, definitely got caught up in some of the shenanigans that happened in the opening of this 3rd and final race of the evening. Through the kink they go for the 2nd time in towards Canada Corner. Ethan Critchley leads ahead of Matthew Victorino. Niels Bucage rounding out the podium spots. He is your top Pro-Am driver as Nils as well, so good spot for him to be in his Pro-Am standings. Your next best Pro-Am, Phil Samways in 6th place ahead of Michael Gray, who's in 8th. Your best Am, once again, Karol Pukalka. What an opening round to this championship, and Ross McFarlane has just dropped down the order, and is that him at the side of the road? It is!
Oh my word. Well, Ross McFarlane, and he's pulled up at the side of the road, and I don't think he's going to be able... Is he waiting so that he can drive across into the pit lane? I think he might well be, Paul, because he's not taking a tow as McFarlane. He's going to wait till the entire field comes through and then drive through to the pit lane. What happened? Was this a mistake on his own?
That's a hardware failure.
Oh, that is a hardware failure. Oh no.
If you've never seen iRacing before, if somebody's steering wheel disconnects itself from the computer for whatever reason, it just throws the car hard left, and fortunately Ross, it was just a solo car incident there for him.
Oh, that's such a shame. Such a shame for Ross McFarlane, because not of his own doing, and he was making great progress. He'd already gained 10 positions from the start, and yeah, was looking to mount a real challenge, but that is advantage James Boumé. That's a massive free kick for James Boumé in 4th position right now in the number 28 Porsche. He's got Morgan Butler right behind him in the free BMW, and ahead has Niels Bucage in the other Porsche, the white, green and black machine. So this is such a big opportunity for pro driver James Boumé to get up onto the podium. Meanwhile, at the front, Critchley and Victorino are so close. Victorino has run down Critchley's McLaren.
Here comes Boumé, by the way, down the inside into Canada Corner, and that is a change of positions up into the top 3 for James here in this 3rd race of the evening. So Boumé doing a great job here to move forward. Critchley and Victorino, though, they're still together out there, and they are definitely well, I don't think that they'll want to fight too hard too early, will they, Peter? Because they'll want to try and keep a gap over James.
Well,
if they're sensible.
That's the question. Yeah, that's the question. And Victorino, he'll just going to be so desperate to get that first win of the season after showing so much pace. But, you know, you could say the same thing about Ethan Critchley as well.
He won at VIR. Opening race
I do
at VIR.
apologise. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did, yes.
But he's had 2 races where he's had DNF. Well, he's had 3 races this season where he's had DNFs. He had the opening race at Sebring after the contact with the back marker when he was trying to lap them. He had the second race at VIR where he got caught up in shenanigans and didn't finish in that one. And then the opening race of this evening got caught up in incidents. You could argue that he was qualified outside the top 10. He then lost it through the kink on the opening lap. So it's not been consistent, has it, for Mathieu?
No, it hasn't. It's been kind of all over the place. The pace is there for sure. Mathieu Victorino and Impulse Racing are a really impressive outfit. So no, all the ingredients are there. Just got to mix them correctly. And at the moment, Ethan Critchley running a beautiful line there in the McLaren, trying to hold off.
No!
Oh, that's the commentator's curse of the season.
I just saw the car coming through the kink and it dipped a wheel onto the grass, and I took a sharp intake of breath, and it's just gone. He's laughing about it, but I don't know if I would be laughing, I'll be honest.
I'll take the blame for that one.
Yeah, it's all on you, Pete. And we know that Ethan watches the broadcast as well, don't we? There he is. I think it's just hit him now as to what's happened.
Yeah, he's going to be really, really, really upset with that. When that, as you say, when that sinks in, Paul, because that was a chance at a victory gone begging. But he was being put under the cot. It's easy to say, you've thrown it away. Well, he was having to go up to 100% and beyond to keep ahead of Victorino. Victorino had him in the vice, and he had to fight back. And as you rightly said, Paul, just dipped a wheel in the grass on the exit. That's just a sign of how hard he was pushing, and it didn't come off. But quite a few drivers of note have had nights to forget him.
Former series champion Pete Harrod, by the way, in the YouTube chat says, "Oh, the curse was a bad one."
So, it was a particularly strong strain.
Yes. You could sell that on the black market for a lot of money. That strain. Yeah. That's almost close to the Adam Watson is definitely going to fight this one hard, and then he pulled over with the indicator on. It was almost up to that. This big wreck behind. That's huge. And is that going to be? The driver's trying to get out of the way. Was that Carol? Was that our AM winner? Yes, it was. So Carol Pakolka got involved in that one. Daniel Sedgley's car. Look at the state of that. That's not going back on the forecourt.
No, well, a bit of buffing, and you never know. That could be back approved used. And Sedgley tried to make a move on Michael Gray in the Audi, and then it just gets clipped.
There is a little bit of netcode in that one, and there's very little that you can do. And Sedgley's done the right thing of holding the brakes and don't pull forward and then stop. Just if you're going to pull forward.
Okay, so at the front of the field then, Mathieu Victorino leads by 3.3 seconds. Well, that unfortunate mistake for Ethan Critchley has also vaulted James Boumé into second place. He is a couple of seconds back to Jack Sedgwick behind him. So, this is all worked out quite well for James Boumé. A win in race 1 and a top 10, an 8th place finish in race 2, and if he can get this a second place with, it's kind of bittersweet, isn't it? Because Ross McFarlane had a really unfortunate technical failure, but the results are the results, and for Boumé, if he can get it home in the next 8 minutes or so, he will come out with a stronger championship lead than he arrived to Road America with.
You said it's been a night for not a good night for a few notable names. Sophia Ridpath has just come onto pit road as well. So Sophia, after leading the AM Championship coming into this round, not having a good week of it after race number 1, having that contact, and now race 3 seemingly getting involved and having to get repairs done to her BMW. So it's been a dramatic night, that is safe to say. And Road Road America always seems to produce drama. Not always good drama.
Well, yeah, a little bit too much drama for Sophia Ridpath liking, I'm sure. The only slight tonic to that is that Adam Hedgecock in second in the AM Championship standing has arguably had an even worse night at the office. So it's if Sophia was going to have a bad night, this was the night to have one.
William Guthrie, remember, was facing the wrong way on lap 1 as well, who was third in the championship coming into this week. So again, it's been a tumultuous night for some. Oh, that's always going to be contact. Ben, that looked more like Ben turning in on Andy Archer than Andy coming across or maybe there was two lines coming together there, but that was I think that there was always contact happening there.
I would agree with the former comment, Paul. I had no idea what Ben Gregory was doing there. There was never a line around the outside. Andy Archer had the inside. He braked at a normal point. He made the corner. And I don't know what Ben thought that was going to happen when you're on the outside and you turn into somebody and you at a corner like that. It's always going to go wrong. That was clumsy.
Certainly was. Unfortunately for Andy, he didn't get adversely affected by that. It was only Ben that got adversely affected by that. Paul Clist for Olympus Esport is the only driver in that team that's in the Porsche. The rest are in the BMW. So the odd one out, but having not a bad third and final race in this one, plus 5 places for Paul here.
Yeah, pretty good run from Paul Joseph Clifton. The thing is that he had to start at the back of the grid, no time set in qualifying, so just fighting his way back up the order and trying to pick your way through, because if you can run these 3 sprint races without contact, without mistakes, that's a big ask. But if you can not make any mistakes of your own, avoid carnage, you almost don't even need to overtake anyone. We've seen so many crashes, so many incidents, that you can pick cars off one by one with minimal effort. It's been you wouldn't call sprint races of attrition, but tonight they have.
Update on those drivers who started in the pit lane. Lev Sebastian's in 19th. That's not bad going, is that, really, from starting in the pit lane? Tim Perry right behind in 20th place. It's a gain of 7 places for Tim.
Well, if he started in the pit lane, it's a lot more than that.
Well, it's a gain of 7 places from where he was meant to start. It's Patrick Faulkner, by the way, going side by side with, I think, one of his teammates. I think that was. So Faulkner moving forward. No, it was Ben Gregory that he's moved past there. And Faulkner's following Adam Watson. Oh, watch the grass there, Paddy.
Big deep breath in there to try and get through that, get through the last 5 minutes. And yeah, for Tim Perry, actually starting from the pit lane is a gain of 21 places.
Yeah, not bad going at all.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Andy Jones has dropped down the order. I think he's had potentially had some connection issues. I think he has. So he's dropping down my timing screen here at this point, and I'll probably have it confirmed in a second that he is out the race. There are a few drivers out the race. Paul Crawford, Ethan Critchley, Jesse Stevens, Matthias Lukchak, and Lewis Bibby all out of this one. And yes, it is confirmed Andy Jones has lost connection to the server. So that means that Andy's now dropped out of this race. You mentioned it. It's a race of attrition, but you wouldn't expect that in a 20-minute sprint race. But one driver who is doing well so far, and I'm reluctant to say it, although maybe my strength of commentator's curse isn't quite as strong as yours. Matthew Victorino is 3.7 seconds ahead of James Bume. I think that's a benefit of just being able to get head down and just focus on the run driving. Yeah, that was a really important thing. And Ethan Critchley, while he was leading, was setting a very strong pace. So for Matthew Victorino, he was kind of sitting there keeping
accurately under pressure, but just biding his time for an opportunity. And since now with the clean air just opening up that pace even more, and yeah, but for Bumi, he will just be delighted with this, you know, to have a win in race 1 in grid order on pace. That's brilliant. And then yeah, fight through from 22nd to 8th in race 2, and then again from so just outside the top 10 to 2nd. That is another great bag of points. Tell you what, James Bumi will be hoping that World Sim Racing open up a stateside sports car championship, because these American tracks, he's loved them.
Yeah, like we say, we look back to Sebring last year with the performance that you put on there. Sebring this season as well, as William Guthrie makes a nice move on Chris Stevenson. And yes, it was for 14th place, but crucially, that's for AM lead here in this race. So William Guthrie looking to have a strong round. And I mentioned, don't forget that William was facing the wrong way at the Hurry Downs on lap 1, so has had to make a bit of a comeback charge here in that full tilt V Autosport car.
He's hurried up after that after that delay on lap 1, and this would be for William Guthrie, would be his second AM win of the meeting here, 2 out of 3 AM wins, and that would vault him. He came in third in the AM championship. He'll definitely go past Adam Hedgecock. And I tell you what, he won't be a million miles off Sophia Ridpath, given how tumultuous her race meeting has been. So William Guthrie for V-Tilt Motorsport in the AM class, those BMWs coming to the fore.
Sophia Ridpath is in 26th, only lost 1 place from where started in this race. So I think Sophia will
be a trip to pit lane.
Yes, exactly. So I think she'll be wanting to move forward in this one and get a few more places. We have only got 1 minute and 20 remaining. This race has just flown by here. It is Matthew Victorino who leads this race, starting the final lap ahead of James Bume and Jack Sedgwick. Then it's the top 3 in Pro-Am of 5th, 6th and 7th. It's Dennis Grabowski, Nils Bocage, who started, don't forget, in pole position in this final race of the evening, 2nd place in Pro-Am, and Phil Samways, 3rd place in Pro-Am, 7th placed overall. Morgan Butler's trying to hold off Dennis Grabowski here, it must be said. Dennis, who former World Championship driver, I will say I was surprised when I saw his name as a Pro-Am. Oh, it's a big step out moment for Dennis. Comes back into the draft, down through the Moraine Sweep for the final time this evening. Looking to make a move, but that BMW has got so much more grunt. Looking for the late braking though, down the inside. Oh, goes too deep. And Morgan Butler says, cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much, says Morgan Butler, and in the free BMW. And yeah, I was with you as well, Paul, for Dennis Grabowski. He's 5,600 I rating, so he does fit into the Pro-Am category in terms of his I rating, but in terms of pace, he's going to take some beating in this Pro-Am Championship. He came into this round leading by 50 points from Adam Watson, and he's in position to grow that gap even more so.
Well, they come through the carousel into the kink for the final time. You can hear not even a feather off the throttle. Full throttle through the kink, and Morgan Butler having to go defensive early here into Canada Corner, and holds on to that place for the time being. But at the front of your field, it is Matthew Victorino for the 2nd time this season. The young man from Switzerland is going to win a race here in the World GT Championship for Impulse Racing. It's round number 6 win for Matthew Victorino.
Brilliant stuff there from Matthew Victorino. But Grabowski trying to make a move here on Morgan Butler in the Pro class. Doesn't quite get it, but it's a Pro-Am win. Brilliant stuff on the Porsche Privateer. Brilliant
stuff, as you say. And, well, William Guthrie for Full Tilt V Autosport, should I say, is already celebrating. You want to be careful about celebrating too early. But it's going to be 2 AM wins this evening for William. AM win in race number 1. AM win in race number 3. That is a good evening's racing for William.
Super evenings racing, and with Yeah, with the difficulties that Sophia Ridpath faced, that closes up the AM battle and the Pro battle. Well, James Boomey, after a second place finish, he will, and of course we have to spare a thought for poor old Ross McFarlane. He could have been in a really strong spot for a challenge at the win in that race, but a hardware failure taking him out of the game. So unlucky.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes your luck goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. It's just the nature of motorsport, even in a virtual world. Ross is still actually going around the track. He did manage to get the car back out of pit road, and he is going to finish. And these points could end up being crucial for Ross here, but it'll be a bittersweet pill. Well, it won't be a bittersweet, it'll just be a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah,
very, very bitter. Not a good night. Well, first two races, great for Pure Sims. Race 3, complete disaster for the former championship winning squad.
So, last car comes across the line, so we should be able to give you your provisional race results here for round number 6 of the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV, and it is a win for Impulse Racing's Matthew Victorino at the head of the standings by 3.8 seconds over James Bume for Altitude Esports. In X Racing's Jack Sedgwick in his Ferrari rounds at the top 3, with Morgan Butler 4th. Then your Pro-Ams come 5th, 6th and 7th. Dennis Grabowski, the privateer, in his Porsche, ahead of Niels Bocage for the NJB Performance by Fokker Transports. Again, enough of Porsche for them. Phil Samways in his Mercedes, rounding out the podium on Pro-Am in 7th place. Mark Fletcher, Michael Gray and Marcin Rabicek round out the top 10. 11th place for Michael Rack ahead of Chris Gooch, and then it's Richard Simner who gained 19 places in that race. He finishes in 13th place ahead of your AM winner William Guthrie for Full Tilt V Autosport, finishing 3 seconds ahead of Chris Stevenson for Olympus Esports, second placed in AM. Leif Sebastian, Recovery Drive into 16th ahead of Andy Archer, Tim Perry and Jonathan Walker. Patrick Faulkner for the AI Race Summaries DCW Racing Team round out the podium in AM. Adam Watson ahead of Ben Gregory with Paul Clist and Paul Webster. Alex Davidson, who got caught up in opening lap shenanigans, he finishes in 25th ahead of Sophia Ridpath. Carol Pakalka, good opening 2 races of the evening for Carol, but not a good third race for that driver in 27th. 28th for Jesse Payne Wilkins ahead of Adam Hedgecock. Ross McFarlane, with a hardware failure, does manage to finish in 30th place. 31st for Nathan Healy ahead of Daniel Sedgley, with Matt Sheriff able to finish 1 lap down, so positive is that he was able to finish the race in 33rd. Those drivers now that did not finish: Andy Jones, Paul Crawford, Ethan Critchley will be heartbroken with that one down there, 36. Jesse Stevens, Lewis Bibby and Matthias Lutchak round out those that do not finish. Well, Peter, we haven't really spoken to anyone in the championship so far in the opening 2 broadcasts of the season, but we have got the driver who finished in second place in the AM standings. Second place in AM here in this final race. Christopher Stevenson, take it away, Peter.
Chris, welcome to the RaceSpotTV commentary booth. It looked pretty chaotic out there today at Road America. How did it go for you? I feel like we're having an interview with a member of Daft Punk there, Paul.
with the VR on, hopefully we can get Chris on air, and hopefully we can get that working. But it would be nice to actually. Hello? There we go. We've
Daft Punk are playing at our house.
So my screen is over there somewhere, so it's easy to do everything in VR.
Chris, it looked pretty crazy out there. I'm sure it was busy in your VR headset when those some of those race starts. Tell us about it.
I am so sweaty. Oh, it's unbelievable. It was hectic, to say the least. First race was just unfortunate twice. Um, the takeout in turn 3, I think, and when I hit Richard Simner in the side, I didn't see the car slide as quickly as I thought, so I didn't hit the brakes fast enough. That's my bad. I own up to that one. The race 2 was just a series of unfortunate events again, but I managed to avoid most of the carnage this time and not finish too badly. And the race 3 was immense. Like, I have never been so stressed in my life trying to defend. It's unreal.
And, you know, in race number 3, what was the secret? Was it just a matter of the luck going your way, Chris, or was there a different feeling? And there was quite a lot lower track temperature in race number 3. Did that feel a bit better?
Yeah, I got to grips with the car in race 2 with the heat, and then in race 3 it changed. And the warm-up, it felt just as slidey, but then in the race, when I got the tyres warm, it had so much more grip, and I had more confidence to throw it into the corners. And a large element of luck and being able to avoid other crashes, I think, is a big part of that one.
That always helps. And finally, Chris, we've got a long season ahead of us here in the World GT Championship. 3 rounds complete, a week off. What are your targets for this season?
Not finish last, I think. I'm nowhere as quick as some of the guys in here. I just midfield, help the team, I think would be pretty good goal for me.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck with that, Chris. Thanks so much for coming in to chat with us, and good luck for the next round.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
I believe we've even been joined by another interview. We don't get any Peter, and then all of a sudden it's like London buses, 2 come at once.
It is like London buses, that's for sure. Well, James Boomey, our championship leader, comes in to chat with us now. James, 3 rounds into this championship, you're the championship leader. How are you feeling right now?
Must admit, quite ecstatic. I'm quite relieved that I sort of came out of that unscathed. Thankfully, race 2, I had a small incident, I guess it's fair to say, with my teammate, but it was my fault because I sort of misjudged. I'm on a single screen, so I sort of misjudged how much he was turning into the corner, and looking back at it, it was quite embarrassing. But thankfully, I came away unscathed and restored my championship lead as well, which is good.
Well, I mean, this season, really, we've seen you have great pace before on occasion and making the most of reverse grids, etc. This season, it seems a completely different kettle of fish, James. You're up front, qualifying on pole, and up there fighting for wins all the time. What's been the difference in the off-season? What have you done in the off-season that's made such a step up?
Well, equipment. So last season, I was running a Thrustmaster TMX, which is probably retails for about £80, and my pedals were the T3PAs, which are like £80 or like £60. So that was the setup I was running last season, and I've recently upgraded to a CSL Elite McLaren GT3 V2, all Fanatec and Huizinfeld pedals, and honestly, I initially didn't feel like the pace was that much different, but what I noticed is that I was able to hit every single corner a lot more consistently. And I had a massive sim rig upgrade on the off season, because when I won the Pro-Am Championship last season, I sort of was thinking like, I could actually do pretty well in the following season and beyond, and yeah, it's it's made a big difference, the upgrade, and I'm glad to see it's all paying off as well. Like, I think being able to compete with Ross Davidson, and I think in some of the practice races I did, like some very highly skilled drivers in iRacing, it's nice to be up there with them as well.
Well, it's been amazing to watch the progression, James. I'm sure it's not all just the fancy new toys. You've got to get in there and drive it. So well done on an amazing start to the season. Enjoy the week off, and good luck for the next round.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's always nice to hear from some of our drivers of an evening and hear how their fortunes have fared. But, well, you mentioned it, Peter. We do have next week off, but when we return on August the 21st, we have the second of our endurance rounds of the championship, and it's at Silverstone. So make sure you join us for that on RaceSpotTV. And what a challenge that these drivers are going to have for an hour and 45 minutes.
It's all going to be about track limits. I hate to say.
Don't.
The drivers get a certain number of incident points that they're allowed, and over an endurance race at Silverstone, that is going to be something that we could see some drive-through penalties. I hate to finish on a negative note though, Paul. Always great to drive a GT3 car around Silverstone. Big downforce, big high speed, fantastic. But that's, for the drivers, that's what they've got to get in their mind, to be able to go quick without breaking those track limits.
So do make sure you join us in 2 weeks' time, 8 p.m. British Summer Time, for all of that. Well, it has been a tumultuous, exciting, dramatic round of the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV. Thank you to everybody who's joined us on watching the broadcast, through Peter Mackay, from myself, Paul Smith, and Hugo Luis, who's been on production. We'll be seeing you in 2 weeks' time for the World GT Championship.